Let's get started. So, thank you guys for making the trek out to room 298. Really, really appreciate that. I feel bad for the people in room 299. So thanks guys for being here this morning. Really appreciate your time. Super awesome. I need a clicker or not much is gonna happen. Okay, clicker. So, two more questions for you. Hands in the air if you think that change is a necessary thing. Keep your hand in the air if you in particular would like to change. Man, this is an awesome crowd. All right, I am super impressed by this. Welcome.
They just know what to answer.
To This is the Change Management You're Looking For. I was gonna have some snappy comment about how nobody likes to change, but this is a great crowd. You're in the right place, guys. All right, so Julia, that one's Julia, and I am Catherine. We are here to talk about change management this morning, and I was gonna make a snappy joke about that being a super boring topic, and then you were all like, dude, I love change. So it is not gonna be super boring. We are gonna talk about all kinds of stuff this morning. I don't think we're gonna blow your mind with anything brand spanking new.
Oh, I am.
But I think we're going to rephrase the conversation a little bit. So, who are we?
Well, we know that I'm Julia, and this is Catherine. And Catherine is currently the manager of strategic customer success managers. Try saying that after a few beers or hurricanes or whatever it is, at Tableau. She was a customer success manager, and now she's managing the East Coast. Her Tableau journey, she started drinking the Tableau Kool-Aid over 6 years ago at a company called Asiano, where she was known as the Tableau Queen.
Where my Sydney cider's at. Whatever.
And as a Tableau Queen, we'll relate that, remember that word, Tableau Queen, because we'll be talking about Tableau champions. So she was an early Tableau champion, known as the Tableau Queen, so she was the resource at the organization for anyone who wanted to talk anything Tableau.
And I mean anyone.
She likes to drive anything she can get her hands on anywhere in the world. She loves to travel, and most of the time when you see pictures of her from her journeys, we are Facebook friends, she will have an animal, and that is I've forgotten what it's called. It's normally a cat, but that's not a cat.
That is not a cat. That is an alpaca at Machu Picchu.
There you go. So she does dislike one thing, and this is something that we do not share in common. She doesn't like black licorice. Who's with Catherine? Oh my God. Okay, are there any Brits
people,
in the room? There's got to be a Brit in the room. Don't you love licorice all sorts?
I love licorice, but not
You love it, but you're not British?
Oh, you guys.
Oh my gosh, I've got a ton to bring home.
You guys are going to get a lot of black licorice.
Yeah.
All right, Julia is a strategic customer success manager, CSM. She's based out of Chicago, and Julia has been helping people do this change management thing in business intelligence for more years than she cares to admit. Mm-hmm. She is a freak of nature and loves black licorice. We agree on travel. Sometimes she loves her teenagers. Most of the time, she loves her husband. But here's the really great thing. We totally agree that cherry-flavored anything is blah. This is fantastic news for me. It means we can keep working together. Hugely good news, because I have not memorized Julia as part of this presentation.
Neither has Julia.
Oh! All right, so why are we here? We're here for a few reasons. First and foremost, we're here to throw candy at you. Nerds.
Licorice.
Oh, man.
Yay.
You gotta see how far in the back I can get.
Oh gosh, I can't throw.
I have things that
I'm
are
a
not
girl.
black licorice, so be nice to me. Okay, why are we here? Julia and I are here because we spend all day, every day working with customers to manage the change that comes with implementing Tableau. We spend all day, every day on enablement and adoption strategies and helping to ensure that your people are in the right headspace to do this Tableau thing. We're here because we know that when you get this right, your teams will embrace change and thrive with Tableau. We're here and we're doing this particular session because we never use the word change management when we talk about enabling Tableau teams. There's often this stigma. We think the word change management is a dirty word. And so we're just here today to reframe that conversation and think about all the enablement and adoption activities that you hear about from Tableau all the time, how they actually play into a change management framework. We're here to share our experiences with you, and we hope that at the end you'll share yours with us.
And we hope that you're here to empower your people, to embrace the change, to encourage your people to embrace the change on your journey to self-service analytics. Nothing we're going to say today is earth-shattering, and nothing you've probably heard all of it before. We're going to talk a lot about the enablement and engagement of your people on this journey, but we're going to look at it from the lens of behavioral change management as opposed to technical change management, which is how we typically look at things. So we're going to talk today about Tableau as change and all the tools that we have at our disposal to reduce the resistance to change and allow your people to embrace the change and embrace the change on your journey to self-service analytics. Okay, I see people taking photos, and I forgot my first thing that I need to tell you. This presentation will be available. There's absolutely no need to take photos unless you feel compelled to
you're
take
welcome
my picture.
to take photos.
You're welcome to, but don't waste your time doing that. Listen to us, because it will be available for download, and the recording will be available too.
Unless you're going to take photos and then tweet about them and be like, Julia and Catherine rock this world. All right, so there's a couple of things that I want to get out of the way up front. Like Julia said, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Most of it isn't going to be like, oh my God, I would never have thought of that myself. But what we're trying to do is just reframe some of this conversation. So as we're working through this, I would love if you could start thinking about what are the two things that you can walk out of here as a new idea or a reframed idea and implement when you get back to work. And it doesn't have to be that I said a thing and you were like, that is awesome, I'm going to do that thing. It could be that we said something that tweaked an idea that we didn't talk about, but something tweaked an idea. So just sort of think, what are the things in here that I can do when I get back, so this isn't just an hour of your time where Catherine threw nerds at you all day. Really important quick point. We're going to talk a lot this morning as if you are just starting your Tableau journey. And as we learned earlier, that is not true for roughly half of this room, maybe more. So don't take the framing of this as you start to roll out Tableau to mean that if you're well into your Tableau journey already, that you can't implement some of this stuff later down the path. It is never too late to start. It's never too late to reframe the conversation.
Tableau brings change. It is awesome for all of us sitting in this room to think that Tableau is the best thing since sliced bread, that everybody is going to jump for joy when you hand them that desktop license. When you hand them the first analysis, they're just going to love you and give you a big hug and say, this is absolutely awesome. But that is not always the case. Tableau brings change, and with change comes resistance.
So, let's just acknowledge something up front here. That change is scary. It's disruptive. It creates resistance, and sometimes it creates serious resistance. Even to the point of something as simple as renting a car. There are people who think, I do not want to try and figure out how to turn on the radio. I do not want to try and work out where the windscreen wipers are when it starts raining. I just want to know how to do it intuitively. I just want my own car. But change is the essential process of all existence. And if we don't change, the world changes around us. That's especially true in the workplace. We all used to go to Blockbuster. We used to shop at Toys R Us, and we used to buy Kodak cameras.
Yes, but funnily enough, as I was in New Orleans earlier this week, I saw somebody not only using a Kodak camera but also using a handheld map with his phone in his back pocket.
I mean,
Some
resistance
people
to change is real.
really strong. Yes.
So, I mean, we can't not change. Like, that's just not an option, right? We don't want to go the route of Blockbuster or Toys R Us. We want to thrive in what we do. And so we have to change. We know that this is a thing that we have to do.
Resistance to change is strong. And if it is too strong, people just won't change. Let's think about an analogy here. Let's think about a swimming pool. It's a hot summer's day and you're going to jump into the pool. You may be resistant as you're not sure what you're going to receive when you jump in the pool. And when you jump in, initially it's really cold and you're not comfortable. But if you stay in for a few minutes, you adapt. You adapt to the change. The pool didn't warm up. The pool didn't change its temperature. You adapted to the change. In the same way, people can adapt to the change. Otherwise, they're left wondering, why didn't I jump in the pool? Was it cold or was it refreshing? Comfort with the status quo is hugely powerful. We have to overcome that comfort zone. We have to find a way to diminish the resistance to change if we're going to be successful in our journey for self-service analytics. Ginger Levin, a renowned author, tells us that resistance happens when the change is perceived as a threat. So, to reduce resistance, we reduce the threat.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about reducing that resistance in a 4-step process this morning. We're going to talk about understanding the perceived threat. What is it that our change-impacted teams are feeling about this change? The importance of making sure that they know the value, the shared purpose, the what's in it for them, right? Like, why should I change? How education and support of those change-impacted teams will lead to them thriving and embracing the change. And we will remind you to communicate, and communicate.
So Ginger Levin also tells us there are 10 key reasons people are resistant to change. Wait, don't start reading this. Let's use some science of data visualization here. What technique did I use? Anybody know?
Who's been to the science of data visualization?
No one's had that webinar? Yes? The art. Color. It's the red nines. It's the famous show a whole sheet of numbers and tell me how many nines you see in there, and then we put some color or some hue or boldness, and there we go.
But I'm still going to throw candy at you because you
you're
had an answer.
I don't like throwing things around.
Ready? Let's see how I go. Oh, there you go.
Not bad.
Close, man. All right, so what do all these bold words tell us? I mean, they've all got something pretty obvious in common. All 10 of the reasons that people resist change are about fear. I mean, what is scary? What's so scary about Tableau? I mean, we're all sitting here, we're all like, yeah, Tableau rocks. So what is scary? There's nothing scary about Tableau. But if you are a user, you've never used Tableau before, maybe it's being pushed down onto you. Maybe you were really excited initially, but now you're a little concerned. I mean, maybe you're concerned you're not going to be as good at Tableau as you are at Excel, or maybe you're afraid that you're not going to know who to ask questions of, or maybe you're afraid you won't have time to learn this new platform, or that your team is going to change, or your job is going to change, or that you won't have a job. I mean, this is all fear of the unknown. And none of those things might be true, but if you don't know that, then those are genuine fears. I mean, that's fair to be afraid of. And we know that fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. And in the workplace, suffering leads to job dissatisfaction. It leads to lack of productivity. It leads to employee turnover. It leads to all kinds of terrible things. We don't want fear in the workplace.
I'm guessing we can all put ourselves out there. We can put ourselves in someone else's shoes. We've talked about what some of the fears are. But here's the thing. Here's a really novel idea for you. Why don't we ask?
I guess it is novel. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Like, we're all sitting here and we're like, Duh, Julia, of course we should ask them. But so often we forget this really important step. We forget when we're rolling these things out that there might be fear. We think we know what the fears are, but please ask your teams. If you've got people who are resisting change, ask them what they're afraid of. Ask them what's going on in their heads. Understand what's happening. Now, you don't need to literally go and ask every single person, but you've probably got proxy people. And you've probably got people who are part of a POC or a guided eval. You've probably got people who are usually change adverse or people who are gonna tell it like it is. And you've got frontline managers. We know stuff. Ask us. Ask us what's going on in the heads of our teams, because we need to know what they're thinking, not what we're thinking.
And there's no need to go out and do a 30-question survey or poll the entire organization. Step outside your world. Understand someone else's. It's amazing how often I'm asked, why aren't they adopting Tableau? Why are they still using Excel? Or even worse, why are they using Tableau like it is Excel? And I simply respond to my customers when they ask me that and say, have you asked them?
It is so obvious, and yet it is so often forgotten. We see it all the time. Ask the question.
So there we have it. We now understand the perceived threat. At the macro level, it's fear of the unknown. At the micro level, we've gone out there and we've asked people, and we're beginning to understand what their fears are. So now we've taken the time to really understand it, understand the perceived threat. How do we go about minimizing that threat? It's time to ensure that people understand the value and the shared purpose of the vision that we have.
But before we can do that, before we can go out there and say to our teams, this is the value, we have to ask ourselves two big questions. Who is your bigwig, and why do they believe in this? These are super important questions. You would not believe the number of global multinational companies that we work with who've never asked this question.
So how big does your bigwig have to be? Well, if you're a $10 billion corporation, then your bigwig probably has that C in front of their names. They're a CTO, a CIO, a CDO. But if you're a smaller organization, you're implementing in a department for the first time in marketing and finance, then your bigwig is the lead analyst in that area. These are your sponsors. These are the people who get it, who've bought into the vision, have bought into Tableau, and they're the people that you need to be talking with now.
And I mean, just pause for a second and think, if you're rolling out Tableau, somebody made that decision, and whoever that somebody is probably has a pretty good reason for doing it. They have a vision, and they know what they're aiming for here, right? So ask the question, who is your bigwig, and why do they believe in this?
And we need to tell people. Do I need to tell? Ooh, he told me not to do that. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. We need to tell people. This may seem obvious, but I swear that in the heat of the moment, we forget. We are so excited about this, but we need to tell people, or the sponsor needs to tell people, this isn't a summer fling. A lot of people have put a lot of time and effort into developing this vision and starting on this journey to self-service analytics. And we need to make sure that people understand that and that we share this with them. It doesn't matter the title, it doesn't matter where you are in your Tableau journey, but you need to share that vision with your people in order for them to embrace the change. Because as we said earlier, fear is what's driving the resistance to change, and the strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. So if we're sharing our vision and telling people about our Tableau vision, then we're reducing the fear.
Julia?
Yes?
What do I need to tell them?
Catherine, you don't need to tell them anything.
I wanna.
Because you're not the sponsor, I am. No, just joking. So you need to share the why. Why did we embark on this journey for self-service analytics? Did we embark on it to replace a legacy BI tool? Did we embark on it because we want to empower our users with data? Why did we embark on this vision? And why did we choose Tableau? Did we do a guided evaluation? Tell them about it. Did we do a POC? Tell them about it. and why, and what is the value of this journey that we're heading down? What are the use cases that we're going to start off with? What is our dream state? How is the future looking? Tell people, share that with people. People don't just get this through osmosis. And I think one of the most common mistakes we do is we don't share enough information with our people, and then we're surprised when they resist the change. And most importantly, we're all human beings. Share what's in it for them. Why do they care? Why do they want to embrace the journey? Why do they want to install Tableau or look at analyses through dashboards? We need to tell them everything, and we need to tell them often, and most importantly, we need to tell them early. Now, if you didn't tell them early because you're in the middle of your Tableau journey, doesn't matter. Start when you get back to your offices.
And you can. I mean, you got to do this earlier than you think, right? If you're at the start of your journey, you got to start doing these things before the rollout. You got to start doing these things before you whack a copy of Tableau Desktop on somebody's computer. But if you're into your journey and you think, I feel like maybe they don't get this, roll that big wig out as often as you can. Wheel them out, get them out there. Hey guys, here's my vision, right? I mean, you're doing a Tableau day. Awesome. Get the big wig out, get them on stage, get them to talk about why this stuff is still important. You're doing a stand-up, you're doing a, hey guys, here's what the stats are this morning. Make sure that everybody knows that your bigwig is in on this. Make sure that they're seen and they're heard and they're upfront in this.
But something very important here. It's not good enough to talk the talk. You need to walk the walk. So what do I mean by that? If you've got an executive sponsor or your bigwig or your lead analyst who's talking about the vision, sharing the vision, the value and everything else, but then they come to you or anyone else in the organization and say, can you take that dashboard and put it in PDF or put it into a PowerPoint so I can share it with the executives? They're not walking the walk. They need to be living, breathing Tableau as well. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're developing the dashboards in Tableau, but they're certainly using Tableau whenever they go to an executive meeting, whenever they're trying to get business insight through analysis, they need to be using Tableau. It is critical that your executive sponsor, your executives, the key people in your organization are truly using the analytics the way they're supposed to be used.
I mean, if they're driving this change, then they should want to use them, right? I mean, that's really important. And I want to answer your question, but can I answer it at the end? Is that okay? They're driving the change, right? They've said we're investing this time, this money, this energy. They should want to be using it. I always ask a question when I'm talking to customers who get really excited and they're like, oh my God, our CEO uses Tableau. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. Does your CEO know they're using Tableau? Because that's an important question, right?
That's true, yeah.
They're getting stuff in a PDF. They don't know what it is. If they got that PDF from somewhere else, they wouldn't know the difference, would they? Are they logging in? Do they know they're using Tableau? That's the really key point here. And I laugh. So we were talking about this as we're building out this presentation, and all I kept thinking of was, there's this one thing I remember from a creative writing class that I dropped in university so I wouldn't fail it, and that is, you can't just tell people. You have to show people. When you're telling your story, show them what happened. Don't tell them what happened, and the same thing is relevant here. All right, so 2 down, 2 to go. Are we all still awake?
Yeah.
Who needs sugar? I got sugar.
Do you
I got
like
sugar.
black licorice?
Ready?
I'm really,
oh man,
really
wait, there were more sugar requests. Who else? Excellent, excellent. All right. So, step 3, educate and support your change-impacted teams. So this is the part that Julia and I spend all day, every day doing. This is the stuff that is so important. Because it doesn't matter if you're like, I have a vision. If you don't tell them how they can achieve the what's in it for me part of that vision, right? So, I have one big important thing. Not 2, just
Not 2.
1, because it's the biggest, most important thing.
Are you listening, Mark?
You have to make education and enablement somebody's job. And I don't mean hey, Susie, want to volunteer and do this in your spare time. I mean, like, write this stuff down in someone's job description. Pay them to do it. Give them time to do it. I get it that, like, if you're just a department or you're a small organization, I get that maybe you can't just rush out there and hire a team of 4 people to be your COE. I understand that. And so if you are in that position, it's totally cool for Janice in accounting to be your lead financial analyst and also to be your education and enablement queen. But you gotta put it in her job description, and you've gotta give her a chance to do it right. Give her the time to do it. You can't say, please be a lead financial analyst 50 hours a week, oh, and in your spare time, do some education and enablement. It doesn't work. And if you're not a small organization, you're not a single department within a grander organization, if you're a big, huge enterprise, global, national company, go hire a team of people and do this right. This is change management. You wouldn't embark on other projects without change management. You need a team. You need a center of excellence, and they need to care about education and enablement. And if you don't have that today, if you're trying to do this with volunteers, I tell you what, man, those volunteers are awesome humans. But they're gonna burn out. They can't do this full time. They can't do this right if they have a full-time job to do in addition to it. Please, please, please. This is your center of excellence. You hear Tableau people say all the time, oh, you need a COE, what's your COE doing? This is what they're doing. And if they're not, they really, really need to be. So, hands in the air. Who has people on payroll with this in their job description?
Yay.
All of you people, come get candy later.
Or black licorice.
Nobody wants your black licorice.
No, I have a fan group over here, black licorice. I'm good. So what is this work that we're talking about? What is it that we're talking about here? We're talking about giving people training, getting people trained, giving them a place where they can get questions answered, giving them a community where they can bond and share ideas. We're talking about cultivating champions. Now, Catherine and I, and we're more than willing to do this, could spend an hour on each of those, and we could stay here till day to night out and then go have a hurricane together.
Who wants to hang out for 7 hours?
Eating black licorice? No.
Whatever.
We're not going to do, I'm not going to let the black licorice go. We are not going to do that. And there are plenty of sessions. We're going to have checklists for you. We're going to have recommendations in the appendix of this presentation. I'm just going to cut to the chase on each one. And then provide you with other sessions that'll go a deep dive into each one of these areas. Unfortunately, some of those sessions have passed, but they will be recorded. So, number 1, Catherine has her big one about the funding. My biggest one as an ex-trainer consultant is don't skip training.
Who has been to Tableau training? Excellent
That's
answer.
pretty good. Because let's
All of you
think
people,
about
come get candy later.
Let's think about this. Just give it to everyone. Let's think about this. Did you learn to drive your car without a driving instructor? Did your pilot learn how to fly the plane on free videos from Tableau's website? Hopefully not. What about your doctor? What about learning a new sport? You had a coach. It is absolutely critical that you don't skip training. Now, I am not underestimating the power and the myriad of options that are available to you in terms of Google, free videos, tutorials, etc. on the Tableau website. They are a great resource, but nothing beats good old-fashioned hands-on training. And with Tableau, we do have a ton of different options for you to pursue that. A large organization often trains trainers and then has them deliver the training to their people. If people like to learn online, then e-learning is a great option. We have classes all over the world in a bunch of different languages in classrooms that people can attend. And it is absolutely critical.
Who supplement all of that. It's not just us. I mean, you don't have to give us money. I mean, we'd love it if you wanted to, but like, get yourself training from somewhere.
Are there any partners in the room?
Yay,
Yay, partners.
Woohoo!
They're good for your training too, because they live and breathe this stuff.
So once you've gotten trained, it doesn't just end there. Because we've all been there, right? You've gone off to some training class, you've come back to your desk, you've been like, I know this stuff, and you open it up and you're like, oh crap, I don't know this stuff. So the training is your foundation, but there's ongoing learning that needs to happen. And all this ongoing learning stuff, this is what your center of excellence, your COE, the person or people you pay to do adoption, enablement, support work for your teams, this is all the stuff they should really be focused on, is what is the ongoing learning path or paths that work for us in our organization. I mean, you might do things like hold lunch and learns or office hours, or maybe you put up some webinars, maybe you encourage people to attend Tableau's open webinars. Whatever it is you're doing, it's gotta work in your organization. I mean, the hot topic of the moment is skill belting. I mean, we do skill belting internally at Tableau. I have a silver skill belt because I suck and I didn't get my gold skill belt. But that's
okay,
what you
I
could
only
do,
have
right?
bronze.
You could do a skill belting program internal to your organization. You could make use of your existing LMS tools, and you could build something for your folks to keep learning on. All this stuff, this is all stuff in the goodie bag of a strategic CSM at Tableau. That's the stuff that we do every day. It's our bread and butter. But you don't have to do all of it. You gotta pick the things that work for you, and you don't need to memorize this slide. You can take a picture of it or download it later. So think about this. Ongoing learning, really important. But don't make ongoing learning the only thing you do. You need that training foundation for any of this stuff to really work.
And you need a one-stop shop. You need a place that people can go, what we're calling a landing page here. And this landing page needs to be part of your corporate culture. So if you have a SharePoint that everybody goes to, if you have a wiki page, if you have an intranet, make sure that your landing page is part of that. And what is the role of a landing page? A landing page is the place that people will go to get questions answered, like, how do I get a Tableau license? Where do I get training from? Who else in the organization is using Tableau? Is there a Tableau community? How are people using Tableau in our organization? You don't need to memorize all those things that I've just said. We have a whole list of things that you can look at afterwards. This will be part of the presentation in order to help you get started with your landing page. But what's critical is that you have one and your users know that you have one and know where to get it and are living and breathing it. And then a community. So you have your landing page, and it's a place that people can go to every day, but it's pretty static, although you should be keeping it up to date. So the other thing that you do need to have in your organizations is a community, a place where people can bond, where people can get together, ask questions. The group of people that everyone knows will step outside the box and help them with different aspects of Tableau.
So we throw this word around a lot at Tableau, community. There's external communities, and there's community in our forums, and we're talking about your internal community. So I just want to sort of level set here for a second. When I say your Tableau community, I don't mean your COE. I don't mean the 10 people at the top of the iceberg. What I mean is all of the people in your organization who do or could or should be using Tableau. That could be a lot of people if you're in a big organization. So when we say you need a community, we're saying your Tableau community needs a place to go and talk to each other. And so guess what? I have two big important things. You need a tug and you need a chat room. We can talk about my use of the word chat room and what that says about my age, but let's start with tug. Who knows what a tug is? Just shout it out. What's a tug? What's it stand for? Yay!
Who has
Prizes
one?
for everyone. All right, you need to have a Tableau user group. What is that? Well, a Tableau user group is a place where your community can come together and meet on some periodic basis. In the real world, this is probably in some kind of webinar or virtual format, because for most of us, we're not sitting all in the same office. We've got Tableau users all over the place. If you can meet in person, that's awesome, but don't think this has to be some kind of big in-person thing. Your tug is talking about use cases. How are you using Tableau? Share amazing viz, share successes, share outcomes, share, hey, I built this thing, and here's the money I found, or here's the time savings I experienced. Share that stuff in your tug. Talk about best practices. Bring IT on the phone and talk about when you're gonna upgrade your server. Maybe Tableau wants to jump onto your tug and share something interesting. Reach out to your Tableau team. They're very willing to help with these things. But if you don't have a tug yet, and you need to set one up, there are tons of resources out there. Dr. Google knows a lot, so please use his services. There's some stuff here you can click on, lots of other things. If you have a strategic customer success manager or an inside customer success manager, you should be attached to that person's hip, and you should be asking them, hey, I've decided I need to set up a tug, can you help me? And they will. Now, we have a landing page, which is relatively static, but up to date. We have a tug, which is meeting periodically and is awesome, but still periodic. In this land of instant gratification, we need a place for people to be instantly gratified. So we need a place for them to chat with each other. We need a place for them to ask questions, answer questions, share cool links, share success stories, and do whatever else they want to do in talking about Tableau. And so I don't care where you do that. I mean, at Tableau, we moved to Slack recently, and I'm a Slack addict, so I would say set up a Slack channel. Maybe you use Chatter or Jabber, or you're still on HipChat, if that still exists, because Slack bought it. Maybe you, I don't even know, what else? What are you using?
Yammer.
What do you use to chat? Nothing, silence, nobody here chats. Hangouts?
Hangouts.
All right. Whatever that is, right? I mean, most organizations today already have a place where you chat. So set up a Tableau space there. Set up a Tableau Slack channel. Set up a Tableau chatter group. Whatever it is you're using, just give people this space to talk to each other.
And get social. Tableau's a very social organization. One of the first things I would say is if you don't have a tug, go down to the Tableau community and talk to them about user groups. Also find out if there is a user group in your area, because there's not just the user group that you hold internally, which is an awesome source of resources, but also there are user groups all over the country, all over the world that you can attend, and the Tableau community can help you with that. Get on Twitter, we've talked about Google. Find your favorite blogs. There are tons of different blogs out there. Obviously, there are tons of technical blogs on how to do things. There's Viz of the Day and things like that. But there are blogs on how to do this stuff, how to set up a tug, how to get your community engaged, and that type of thing. Find your favorite blog and connect to it, or start writing your own.
Absolutely. Twitter users, hands up. All right. Now, if you are not a Twitter type, if you're like, ew, Twitter.
That's me. I'm not Twitter.
Twitter is still an awesome place to have a Tableau conversation. So maybe you're not a Twitter user in your real world, but in your work world, in your Tableau world, it's actually an amazing place to connect with other Tableau crazy people. And they're awesome crazy people.
And there is a Twitter handle. Is that the right word?
There is a Twitter
Tableau Champions.
handle, yes.
Is it handle?
Tableau Champions. If you search Tableau
someone young.
Champions, a couple of our peers have put up a new Twitter handle that they want to use as a place to have conversations about this enablement stuff. So check it out. They just started it like 14 hours ago. So I think they had 13 followers last time I checked. Get up there and follow them.
I think they have one tweet. Is that the right word?
That is one tweet. Yes, Julia, it's a tweet.
Clearly not a
So look,
Twitter.
The moral of this story is don't think you can do this alone. Even if you have followed my very sage advice and you've paid people to be your center of excellence, even those people can't do this alone. They're just the tip of this really big iceberg. And as your Tableau footprint grows, as your organization grows, you don't want everyone calling you for everything. Trust me, I've been there. You don't want that. You want them to help each other. And so that's what your landing page, that's what your community is all about. That's also what your champions and your Tableau team and your Tableau partners are all about.
So do cultivate champions. What do you think I mean by a Tableau champion? Throw it out there. Any suggestions?
Do you think you
Do
are
you
a
think
Tableau
you are
champion?
one? Yeah. Super users, power users. What did you say? Curious about data. I love that. So we had a lot of debates when we were putting this together about whether you picked a champion or a champion picks you. And I think it's a little bit of both, but most of it is that the champion picks you. So to me, a champion is someone who is passionate about this, curious about data, but not only that, they just intrinsically get it, and they are eager to share their passion with everybody else and be a support for other people. So now, how many Tableau champions do we have in the room? All of us, right? We're all curious about data, eager to help. So it's absolutely imperative that you do cultivate those champions, identify who they are, and make sure that they're well appreciated for what they do. I just stole your bit. But you can do a
Whatever.
bit
I'll steal
more.
your bit then.
Well, you already did, but
so
that's okay.
here's kind of an important thing. In the real world, out there, outside this convention center, people might think that to be a champion, to be passionate and eager and want to help people and put ourselves out there, that one should be an extrovert. And in this Tableau world, inside this convention center, it is so not true. You're going to see more introverts get up on stage and talk in front of hundreds of people here than you might see anywhere else. So don't fall into the trap of thinking that only the loudest, most boisterous people are your best champions. It's not true. And don't fall into the trap of abusing or taking for granted your champions. This word cultivate is really, really important. So remember this lecture I gave you earlier about not using volunteers to be your center of excellence? Well, I'm gonna stand here now and be like, hey, go get this group of volunteers to be your champions. But this is a really different thing, right? So we can't conflate those two things because your champions are not your COE. Your champions are the people in the business who get it, and you're asking them to share their success. You're asking them to help their peers. You're asking them to just kind of be available, right? They're the folks who are probably answering most of the questions in your chat room. They're the people who might be presenting their use cases on your user group. But don't take them for granted. I mean, they'll burn out, right? If you just keep going, do, those champions are gonna burn out. So make sure that you are giving back to them. Make sure you're giving them a platform. Make sure you're getting them coaching. Make sure they're getting all the extra training they might like. Make sure they're getting executive visibility. Make sure that they're getting opportunities. Bring them to Tableau conference, right? I mean, that's the stuff that is gonna drive your champion because they might help because they love it, but they can't carry on doing that forever. So make sure that you are giving them something in return. And that's also important because your champions are amazing humans. And you know what's gonna happen? They're gonna get promoted. And they're not gonna have the time to do all the champion-y things that they used to do. And so your next generation of champions need to see that you appreciate the champions who are out there today so that they want to step up. You want to make this champion thing a thing people want to do. So don't take them for granted.
And make sure you use the resources available to you. As you said, if you're at a certain level of investment in Tableau, you do have a customer success manager. How many people in here have customer success managers? Okay, so
Excellent.
You guys need to attach to them at the hip. Catherine stole my line on that one, but that's okay. And they live and breathe and do this every day. It's what we love, it's what we're passionate about, and so let us help you do that. If you don't have a customer success manager, you still have the love of your Tableau team, and they will also help you with all of these kinds of activities and point you to the right directions and give you the support you need. And even better than that are your Tableau partners. They live and breathe this stuff too, and we have some in the room. I'm sure they will attest to that. So make use of the resources that you have available to you.
And I've been told it's 11 o'clock. Guess what? We've got some really good news. 3 down, 1 to go.
We'll make this one quick.
We've done all this awesome stuff, right? We understand our users. We've remembered to ask them what their fears are. We have shown them the value. They understand the bigwig and his or her vision for what's going on here. We've spent a ton of time educating and supporting our people. We've made sure that we pay a team of people to do that bit. But it's all for naught if we don't communicate, communicate, communicate.
And you need to communicate early. You need to communicate often. You cannot over-communicate this stuff. And if you haven't been communicating, that would be the one big takeaway that I would take from this session, is to go back and start communicating, sharing the vision. Don't assume they've just got it.
Roll the bigwig out.
And there's another really important part of communication. Your communication needs to be clear, concise, and considerate. What do I mean by that? Well, only have one message in the communication. We're going to talk about communication tools, so I'm not just talking about email right here, but you need to have one message. It needs to be clear, and it needs to be concise, particularly in this day and age. Wordy emails are not going to be read, for example. But you need to have enough words to make the message clear, and then most importantly is considerate. What is in it for the person who's receiving your communication? Communication is a dialogue. People will read and understand communications if they can see immediately what's in it for them. We're also traveling at 100 miles an hour these days, and it doesn't matter how cool your new wheels are. Nobody's going to be listening to you. It doesn't matter how clear, concise, and considerate your communication is. You need people to hear you. You need people to receive the communication. And so in order to do that, we need to deliver in as many communication tools as possible. I found out very quickly when putting this presentation together that Catherine is a Slack person. I started on email, no response. On Slack, boom, got a response right away. My teenagers know that if they text me, they'll get a response before an email, and if they call me, then I know it's an emergency, like no food in the fridge or no gas in the car. You need to understand with whom you're communicating, and you need to use whatever communication tools you have at your disposal. Face-to-face, email, newsletters, Slack, webinars, TV screens, Twitter, WeChat, WhatsApp. Whatever is available, use them all. Not everybody is on every tool.
We are suffering from what marketers have suffered from for eons. It's clutter. I mean, how many emails do you guys get in a day? 4 billion, right? Do you read every one of them? Do you read every word of every one of them? Absolutely not.
No.
So we've got to use all the tools at our disposal to try and figure out how we cut through that clutter. And in your organization, what those tools are and how you cut through is going to be different, right? I can't stand up here and say, do these 3 things or use these 4 methods. Like, your organization is different from mine. And so you've got to figure out how you cut through that clutter, and using the tools at your disposal, being clear, being concise, being considerate, is going to give you your best shot at it. All right. 4 check marks. Yay. All right. So we have set up a framework. Your teams are ready to embrace change. No hugging required, although completely allowable as long as there is consent between the 2 hugging people.
Oh, for goodness, are you in HR?
Fine. No hugging required.
Isn't that good?
I mean, what have we done, right? Like, I've run out of checklists for you, so that's the good news. I don't have any more big important things for you. That's the good news. We've done the hard work. We've set up a framework in which our teams understand how to get to Tableau and why they should. They understand where to find examples of awesome work, how to share theirs. They understand where to go to get help and how to help other people. You've set them up for success by putting them through training, by giving them ongoing learning options, and they're ready to build awesome analyses that drive your business and add to your bottom line. I mean, isn't that, in the end, why most businesses are buying Tableau? So you have set them up for success, and that's hugely important, but don't think it ends there. We can't just go, end, we're done, because it's a cycle.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. It goes on and on. You've got new people coming in. You've got other people moving on. You've got to make sure that this cycle continues and that you and your center of excellence and your champions are here for the long haul. Now, We didn't stand up here for 7 hours. Yay! Which means
There are other sessions that I'd highly encourage you to go to, or at least visit afterwards. We do have 2 really good sessions going on at the same time tomorrow, so pick the one that appeals to you most and then download the other one. Skills Belt in a Box, if you're at that stage where you want to roll out some ongoing training and provide skills and rewards around it. Building a Tableau COE is our principal architect in Chicago, who is phenomenal and has been doing this with organizations for years. And then the other one that happened yesterday is the recipe for an engaged and passionate community. But those are from our colleagues. We also have some great sessions from customers, and then you hear it right from the horse's mouth. Hear from customers who have been there, done that. I totally get it. All of these have happened or are happening at the same time. I'm thankful that you guys are here listening to us, but I'm really conscious of time and the fact that I want you to have time for questions. So download these. They'll be in the presentation, and watch them when you have time too.
yeah, remember, all of this stuff available through the TC website. Quick recap. We started out about 45 minutes ago saying we're going to tell you 3 things. It's taken 45 minutes and like 70 slides to tell you 3 things. So I really appreciate the attention, and I have a quick question for you, and that is, are there 2 things that you take from this, or are there 2 things that this tweaked in your mind that you can go off and do or change or reframe?
Or just one?
One? Something? Anyone? Here, I'll come to you with a microphone even. Check that out. Robert.
I was just going to say, we're doing budgets right now, and we're thinking about adding headcount for Tableau, so it's nice to be able to come here and be able to go back with information to substantiate that. So thank you. So for us, it's to add that person.
I love that answer. That's the best answer I've ever heard. Robert from Audi of America is going to pay someone to do education and enablement. Rock on.
Hi, so one of the things that I'm taking away is how to restructure our landing page. It's not very engaging right now, and I think we could really do better to encourage more people to understand this BI tool. And the second thing is the cultivation of champions. That was something that I brought to the table, and you've given me some good suggestions on how to create a process to do that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Anybody else or
Yeah,
any
we got another
questions
one
or
here.
other comments?
Put the survey slide up for those who want to. If you're leaving, please complete survey number 5. Thank you. Bye.
Everyone wants a 5.
I like the reminder to always to continue to love and appreciate all of your team members. Just because you feel like you might have done it once before, just don't stop. They need that empowerment, and it's good to hear from experts that that's something that you should do. And also another thing too that I'd never thought about is I spent a lot of time with our actual analysts and building the analytics team, but not very much time with Tableau users. Doing that in the organization is a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a good one.
So
Excellent.
can I ask a question, just a hands-up question? When you do training, do you train only your creators, your sort of developer types, or do you also train your executives and your viewers? Who trains executives?
Yay.
If your
That's
hand is
awesome.
not in the air, please, 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 I mean, do it one-on-one if you need to. Like, go sit down and make sure they know how to get in and click on things. That's a big deal. And if you're not training your viewers, maybe do some kind of like remote webinar-y sort of thing, how to be an awesome Tableau viewer, whatever you want to call it. Like, make sure they know how to use it from their end too, because sometimes we assume it's just a website, they'll work it out. You know, like, oh, they're millennials, they know how to use a website. But don't make that assumption. You know, make sure that training piece isn't just for your creators.
Just training them to create a custom view is like eye-opening for most of them. They're like, what?
Yep.
So,
Like I have a Tableau private community,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm trying to create a center of excellence landing page, but I can't embed the community there. I wanted one place. Like, is there even like a different Tableau web?
It depends on where. So the question, you've got an online community?
No, Tableau private community.
Oh, a Tableau private community on the Tableau website.
And I want to put that in our landing page so they can.
Ah, okay. Hang on, let me,
you'd do a link to it, wouldn't you?
do I have my thing? No. All right. Email me because I'll get you in touch with the person who knows.
And then skill belts, do you have like I'm trying to find
Go to the,
skill belts in a box.
yeah, go to Skill Belts in a Box, because they've put a lot of thought and effort into what they're building out. So the Skill Belts in a Box, the two guys who are doing that presentation happen to work for me, so I might be a little bit biased, but they've put a ton of research and effort into what they're doing, and so they've got this framework that you can take and make your own in your organization. So if the Skill Belts thing is interesting to you, do go to their session, or at very least watch it on TC Live after TC. Good stuff. Excellent. Excellent. All right, guys, we're going to let you go. Please make sure that you fill out the survey. Thank you so much for listening to our reframing. I know we said at the top, this is not mind-blowing stuff, right? It's a reframing. Think about your Tableau enablement as change management, and it might change how you approach it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. You had a question, right? Yeah.